And hello, welcome. We're getting started with the MongoDB Twitch stream, and I'm joined here with Nader. And Nader, how do you even say your last name? Dabit?
Dabit.
Dabit. Dabit. That's awesome. From AWS. And I, speaking from everyone from MongoDB, we're so excited to have you on our stream today.
I'm excited to be here. This is cool. I'm really looking forward to learning this stuff. I hear so much about the managed backend service that you all have. I'm assuming that's what we're working on. And I'm really excited to play around with it and learn it.
Yeah, I can't wait to brag about it. No. And I know you've been working on some cool stuff too. Actually, can you tell us like a little bit? I don't know what you've been working on, like how your life's changed a little bit since working from home. What you
Yeah,
do?
I mean, yeah, definitely. So I'm a DA, a developer advocate, and I think it depends on the team that you're on, like what that actually means. And our team is fairly small. We only have a couple of DAs on our whole team, and which typically means that we have a lot of freedom to kind of do whatever we want, or like we're also kind of doing a lot because of the just the fact that we don't have a lot of people. We're all able to kind of help out wherever we want. So we're not just doing outreach, and we're not just trying to drive our product and active users, but we're also doing stuff like sending pull requests and helping drive the roadmap and stuff. So like up until really about 2 months ago, or really up until the beginning of this month, because even the beginning of this month I was in Tel Aviv, like traveling and doing events. I was doing anywhere between like 40 to 60 talks a year, which meant I was on the road at least 1 week a month or 2 weeks a month, probably kind of like you.
Yeah.
And now I'm just at home, and I live in Mississippi. I work remotely for AWS. So I have my office here that you can see. It's kind of set up like a studio where I can do a lot of recording.
Yeah.
I do a lot of videos. I've been doing a lot of videos. I've been doing a lot of this type of stuff streaming. But I would just say more so now I'm able to kind of like focus on content creation. And this is going to be a nice little experiment for the whole industry, I think, right?
Oh, totally. I know. I'm like kind of excited to see what's going to come about. I feel like we're going to see like this huge influx of like just like super creative, innovative developer content coming out in the next like month or two. Yeah, it's kind of a shock for everyone, and I'm the same way as you. Like, I'm used to going to a lot of conferences and being around people all the time, and it's kind of weird being home streaming all the time. But I don't know. I love it. I mean, it's like a perfect place to do it. And I'm thankful that people are like willing to listen to us online too. I feel like it's a different kind of vibe online, but I'm so appreciative people can come.
Yeah, it's a lot more convenient too. I mean, of course, that's pretty apparent. You're right, but when you think about it, if all of the things that were happening in these little like silos, like in one conference location, are now going to be brought live to the world for free.
Yeah.
There's just going to be a lot more sharing going on, a lot more teaching, a lot more learning.
Oh, I totally agree. Are you like going to be like working on any books or anything, or like any cool new content?
Yeah, so I'm writing my second book. I wrote React Native in Action with Manning Publications a few years ago.
Yes.
That was published I think 2018. And then this year I just finished my second book. It's called Full Stack Serverless. And it's kind of talking like I'm a front end developer. I'm not a back end developer. That's why I really like things like what we're going to be looking at today, Stitch, because these things kind of help me as a traditionally front end developer build full stack applications at scale. So when you have something like Stitch that is a managed service, it's scalable, and you don't really have to manage that infrastructure. It's kind of like an enabler for people like me. So yeah, full stack serverless is what's that?
Anything that makes like making websites easier to make, I'm all down for
Yeah,
it.
for everybody,
Yeah,
even
great.
for the backend people.
Yeah.
But the book is basically about like taking advantage of all of these managed services to build full stack apps on AWS in particular. So.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, that's awesome. I feel the same way. I come from a front endy background too, and it's and like this the ecosystem's come so far, and I feel like serverless has been huge, at least for like building like full stack like full production apps, and even just like prototyping stuff. It's like made my life so much easier. Can I ask you too, like writing a book? I've been like thinking about writing a book like for years. but I'm like so scared too. How did that work for you? And do you have like any tips about writing a technical book?
Yeah, I mean, it's just like anything, you it is a big undertaking, but you typically, like, if you think about writing an app, you typically don't think about writing the whole app. You break it into these little parts. And I think when you start looking at a book like that, it makes it a lot more approachable. And then
Mm,
you come up with like a table of contents, right?
yeah,
And then from there you just start writing each chapter, and then within each chapter you might break that chapter up into a few pieces, and you just dedicate some time every week to writing, and
totally.
before you know it, like over a couple of months, you've written a whole book. And that's kind of the way I approach it. I try not to get overwhelmed, because it is a lot of things, a lot of stuff to think about, but when you
Totally.
kind of break it up in these little pieces, it makes it a little easier. But it's definitely, like, I would recommend doing it, because I think you have the knowledge to kind of share enough to go into all of this stuff. And it's good for people that are looking to learn MongoDB and whatever that you'd like to teach, but it's also good for you and your career, because it kind of establishes the technology, as something, it's just another thing to kind of establish that technology. So if you see a
Totally.
book about it, like, people are going to assume like this is something of substance, and then they're going to
Mm.
assume that you're an expert. And by the time you're done writing the book, if you weren't already an expert, you will be anyway, right? Like, so.
Totally. No, totally. And I use that with like writing talks and other like blog posts. Like if I need to learn something, I'll just like start teaching it. And it's funny like how quickly you become expert at it. I feel like when I start
That's
out with those
true.
things, I like have no idea what I'm talking about. And you said something I really like too about writing a book, about like splitting it into small chunks. And I feel like I'm like kind of taking that one piece at a time. And I feel like that's a lot like programming. Like when you're like have a gigantic project, you need to just split it into small project or small problems and solve them. Or if you get a bug, you got to just keep like chopping it into smaller and smaller pieces to handle. Um,
Exactly, yeah.
so writing books like programming, I could do that. Cool. Well, that's awesome. Well, I really love having you here. This is awesome. I love your work too. Your serverless book has actually been on my to-do list. So maybe since I'm home, this is probably a great time to go check it out. Um, and actually, yeah, let's see here. I'll drop a link in the chat too for a link to your book too.
Cool, thanks.
Okay, cool. Let's see here. So let's see here. Nader, you tell me you've brought a little project that you've been working on. I mean little. You got a super cool project you brought in. You want to tell us a little bit about what you've been working on?
Yeah, so Jamstack eCommerce is the project that we're going to be kind of trying to implement a backend for,
Yeah.
using Stitch. So like, Jamstack eCommerce is essentially kind of a starter project for e-commerce sites. You could think of it that way. And it's built with Gatsby, which, if you've never used Gatsby, it's a static site generator. So it
Mm.
allows you to write what would have typically been, the type of code you would have written for a dynamic single page application like React, that you typically would associate with the single page application. It allows you to build something more along the lines of a server rendered app. But because of how Gatsby works, it basically will build each page into a static page. HTML and all that stuff is already built. So what you end up with is something that's really fast and also really SEO friendly. And so
Mm.
Gatsby is kind of what I use to do this. And then Jamstack eCommerce is kind of just taking a Gatsby project and implementing a bunch of things that you would typically expect from an e-commerce platform. Um, Things like, having an admin panel
Mm.
for being able to create, read, update, delete different, items.
Mm.
You would also kind of assume that you need a way to kind of like view items by category and by item. Kind of takes all of these assumptions and kind of bundles it up into one. And by default, it just ships with like, so that like
Mm.
the main thing you might think about, like, how do you actually get the inventory to populate the site? It's built where it has this kind of like provider pattern, and the provider can either be hard coded data, so you could actually just write this all the data locally into the file and then like update it as you need it, or you could pull from a back end. So in that provider function, it's an asynchronous function,
Mm.
and you can either hard code the data or fetch it from a back end, and that's kind of what we're going to be doing here.
Oh, awesome. So you could use like just like a JSON document or something to save it.
Exactly.
Interesting.
That's kind of how I have it set up now.
That's awesome. I love that.
And this is kind of how it looks. This is the repo, and if you want to kind of see a demo, you can actually click right there.
Let's see. Can you go
And
back to
kind
that
of
GitHub? I just want to get the link so I can send it out to
Yeah.
everyone. Okay, just Jamstack CMS. Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, I can share it here.
Oh, that'd be great.
Okay, I was gonna say I tried to type and it kept giving me that pop up. Yeah, Jamstack eCommerce.
I just found. I'll send it out.
And this is kind of what the site looks like. And you'll notice that like as we click through it, it's very fast. And this isn't because like I'm really good at programming. It's because Gatsby is really fast. This is just the default behavior that you get, which is pretty cool. And we have stuff like, I guess probably move this over here. Yeah. You know, like if you add something to a cart, you get like this little pop-up. You have a shopping cart. You can kind of like add and delete stuff from the shopping cart.
Holy cow, this looks so good.
Let's see here. So let's go to cart now. This is, I think I had an item from the last time I ran this that was still there. We have this now and you can like delete stuff. And then if you want to check out, we have this backend Stripe implementation.
Okay, can I actually buy that caramel brown sofa from you?
Yeah, these items actually look pretty nice, right?
I want to buy some of this stuff. Wow, this is awesome.
And then in the admin panel, there's like there's authentication. We're probably going to rip out this authentication for now, since we don't really like probably want to go into all that and just show how the admin panel works. But let's say that you had this set up, then you would be able to kind of like view all of the inventory.
Wow.
You'd be able to like edit the inventory, like how many items and the price and stuff like that. And then you'd be able to kind of delete inventory.
That is amazing. I just want to thank Archer. Thanks for following. We appreciate it. Yeah, this looks okay. First of all, I just want to say this looks so professional. I just moved to a new apartment and bought a bunch of new furniture, and this looks better than most of the furniture sites I've been going on.
Yeah, it's a great way to get up and running, and it's you know, I'm kind of showing how it's also responsive. So like you don't have to worry about like writing that code yourself. The mobile version like works like out of the box.
Can I also say too, it's really, really fast.
Yeah, it is fast.
Initial load's fast. Changing pages is fast. Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, I think it's a huge part of just the Jamstack in general, the static pages. Keep it simple, keep it fast, keep it light. Cool. I love it.
That's about it.
Wait, did you show us the admin? The admin panel was like doing inventory management, right? Was that the?
Yeah, the admin panel is kind of like this. Let's see. Let's go ahead and go back in here.
Yep,
so you have like the view inventory view, and then you have the add inventory view.
Love it. So you can do like CRUD operations. Yeah, got it. Gotcha. Yeah. That is amazing. Cool. And yeah. Wait, when did you build this? Is this like you recently built this? When did you put this together?
So I think I launched this in January. Yeah, and this is kind of part of this Jamstack CMS project that I'm also kind of working on. And there's two main projects right now. There's Jamstack CMS and Jamstack eCommerce. Jamstack CMS is kind of similar to Jamstack eCommerce, but it's kind of like an end-to-end solution for a blog.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, so it's like a more generalized just CMS portfolio blog kind of thing.
Exactly. And it's kind of like, this is kind of like WordPress, except it's kind of like WordPress for, I would say like 2020, because it has all of the
oh, that's awesome.
The password for this. It's kind of like WordPress, but you have all of the stuff that you would typically like associate with like newer technology. So it's like serverless, it's GraphQL, it's Gatsby, and then the admin panel here, you can actually like delete posts and create posts.
My personal blog is built on WordPress, and like I wish my blog was this fast.
Oh, and it's fast, yeah. So that's another thing. Just because it's Gatsby, it just ends up being like super fast.
Time to rewrite.
So that's Jamstack CMS, but we're not going to really.
Are you looking for contributors at all on this project?
Yeah, that would be amazing. Anyone that wants to contribute, like we would definitely appreciate it. It looks like I have a couple PRs I need to go through now. I've been working on a few other things over the last couple of weeks, and I'm actually spending next week polishing up some of, or just working on some of my open source. So it's going to be a lot of work in these two repos next week. So if you play around with it and you want to contribute, that would be awesome.
That's amazing. So yeah, anyone listening wants to join in, and Nader would love some help too. Be great project to jump on, I think. Cool. Cool. It's actually. Could you tell me too, like, in case, like, what are some upcoming improvements you're gonna make in the next couple weeks on this?
Yeah, so I typically keep up like a roadmap.
Oh, great.
So you can kind of see some of the stuff I'm going to be doing. So I want to be able to specify the number of items in the cart, because right now you can only add an item and you can't like change the quantity. Add a drop-down navigation, because right now if you end up having a bunch of categories, like this becomes huge, and I'd like to have like a main nav and then like a sub nav, and that's kind of something I'm going to work on. A few other things, theming, dark mode.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Very gotta have dark mode. You need that to launch these days.
Yeah. People want dark mode.
You gotta have it for V1. That's amazing. Can I ask you, what do you like? What kind of issues or problems have you run into with building this out? Because this looks like pretty robust app. Have you run into issues with the Jamstack or like things, unexpected roadblocks or whatever?
I would say like when I did first build these two projects, there was a few things that kind of like I would say were stumbling blocks. One of them was working with secure images, because
like
yeah, I mean, when you think about it, like permissions and stuff, because when you think about it, you don't want to have something like an open S3 bucket where people can just like use your images, even though, I mean, people do that all the time. Like if you look at like websites like dev.to, if you upload an image, or even Medium or Twitter, if you upload your avatar image, you can actually just take that image and use it anywhere, and anyone can kind of like access it. But that's kind of against the AWS guidelines. We can't put software out there that works that way. So what's going on with Jamstack eCommerce and Jamstack CMS is there's this build process that happens when you're kind of building those static pages based on what you've written. And this is kind of something that happens in a node process. And what like my first assumption was just kind of like, how can I, or the first question I have was like, how can I actually make these images secure, but still have them work in this build process? Because I need some type of authentication or something. Like I need these images to be secure.
Interesting.
And
I've never thought about this
problem. I didn't want to have the bucket open.
So how did you solve it?
Yeah, so I think like what I ended up doing was with Gatsby, you have access to the whole file system. And instead of kind of referencing the dynamic link to that image, or kind of having that open and just kind of having the URL, what I ended up doing was using the AWS SDK, which is kind of built into Amplify, which is actually what I use, Amplify client. And you can kind of get a temporarily like downloadable URL, like for like 15 minutes. It's kind of going to be like if you want to use an image, you can kind of get this temporary reference to it. So if you kind of are using it in your site, you can kind of have that. But after 15 minutes, it goes away. But for every image in the app, I would actually get the that URL, and then I would actually download it locally into the file system. And then when the build was done, you actually have all the images downloaded from your S3 bucket locally, which is good for a couple of reasons. First of all, when you're it's faster because you're not actually having to download those images when the page loads are already there locally. But also at the CDN level, they can all be cached. So when you're kind of like serving this up, it's there, and it's really it makes it even faster.
Wow, that's interesting. That's an interesting solution. I've never considered that before. That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, like generally, like you're protecting images of sofas right now, I assume, but like that could be super useful too for lots of image data, though. I love that. No, that's great. That's awesome. Thanks for sharing that. Okay, cool. Let's see here. So, are you going to be walking us through like setting it up? Is that kind of?
Yeah, let's kind of like, I think maybe we'll go ahead and create a new Jamstack eCommerce project. We'll just kind of clone the repo, run it locally, and then we'll kind of plug in the provider to be coming from Mongo.
Love it.
So I'll just kind of walk through here, and I'll just kind of copy these directions. So we'll go ahead and clone the project, git clone. You know, is my screen like an okay resolution, by the way? Can people see that?
Let's we'll ask the chat. Chat, can you see Nader's screen okay? I'm looking at my iPad. It looks okay. Let's see. Anyone on the? We got a yeah. Looks okay.
Okay.
Always bigger is always better, but yeah, I think that's.
Yeah, I can probably make this slightly bigger. Let me just go up one on this text size. Here we go. Make that 34. That's good. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and clone this. So I'm just kind of git cloning, same stuff we've probably done before. And then we see we have Jamstack eCommerce. So I'm just gonna change it to that directory, and we have everything there. And I'll just go ahead and run yarn to go ahead and install the dependencies.
Using the new yarn, yarn 2, yarn 1. I haven't.
I haven't upgraded to the newest yarn. I don't think.
It's on my to-do list.
Because so many things changed, I don't really know. I haven't had time to investigate.
Yeah, I feel the same way.
I don't want to break anything.
Yeah, totally.
So this is basically, just going into our package JSON and installing the node modules. And then so there's two different things you can do. You can either build the site into a static build that you can then deploy to whatever hosting service you want, or you can run it locally, like with Gatsby Develop. And then I'll kind of briefly walk through what's happening when you run that command, just so you kind of understand what's going to happen in a moment when we plug in, because this kind of goes hand in hand with the work that we're going to be doing in just a second.
I would love that. I'm a Gatsby noob, so I'd love to get a quick little tour of that.
Okay, cool. So let's run it then. Gatsby Develop. This is before we do that, let's actually open this up in our text editor and look at the package.json, kind of see the commands that are available that we're going to be using. So I'm going to open the package.json, probably zoom in a little bit here. And okay, so for the scripts that we have build, develop, all these things. I'm just going to be running build, which is going to be running Gatsby build. You can also run, I'll be running Gatsby develop. You can run Gatsby build. You can do basically npm start, which is going to be npm run develop, which is going to be Gatsby develop. So it's kind of like referencing each other. Anyway.
Yep.
So let's go ahead and run Gatsby develop. And this is going to run a build, and it's going to basically take all of the React code and build a static version of the site locally, and then serve it up. And I have some logging stuff going on, so that's probably why you see all that stuff.
And Pop Lock 11, thanks for the follow. And that all those npm scripts were generated by the Gatsby builds or the generate tool, right? Cool.
Right, yeah. So when you kind of generate a project, it's going to automatically. This project is kind of not too far off of what you would get if you just created a new project as far as the configuration is concerned. Yeah. Okay, so now it looks like our app has been served. I have some warnings because there's things that ESLint expects, but when you're kind of creating a boilerplate, you kind of have to have certain functions in place for use later that aren't being used now, because you want to, at least for me, I kind of want to have all these things there. So if someone wants to start adding additional functionality, we already have a lot of that code there, even if it's not being used. Totally. So that's kind of what a lot of these warnings are coming from.
You don't want to put your
auth code in? If you kind of scroll up
for everyone.
What's that? You
didn't want to put your auth code in for everyone to see?
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Because it's going to depend on the provider, right? All that's going to be different. So
absolutely.
It should go ahead and open up a localhost 8000, and then you also have a GraphQL API that's going to be available if you have anything set up. So This is actually running locally now. So we have localhost 8000, and we see that everything is working right.
Quick question about the GraphQL. Are you using Apollo as a provider to or?
So with Gatsby, they have an internal GraphQL system that is more of like a Gatsby version of GraphQL.
Interesting.
Where you can basically source data from another data source and then make it available via GraphQL, at this endpoint. So we can actually go ahead and open this up, and this is all stuff that isn't really specific to my app. In particular, this is more stuff that's available via Gatsby. I think I may have a few things that I've set up here. Let's see. I think we can category info, data. Yeah, we have a few things that are kind of set up here, but this isn't really anything I would worry about at the moment.
Don't
it
worry
is
about it.
A cool thing that Gatsby
yeah, I didn't know they did that. A quick plug, MongoDB just unveiled our GraphQL endpoint too, so you can automatically turns your MongoDB database and Atlas into a...
Oh, no way.
Yeah, it's super...
That's dope. We should check that out.
Oh,
we should do another stream with that.
It's legit like a game changer for me. I'm obsessed. Anyway, continue. I'm so sorry.
Cool.
I love it.
No, it's all good. So like, yeah, we have our project running locally, but the two questions are like, first of all, we want to walk through that build process and we want to see where this data is coming from. And then we want to kind of replace that with the MongoDB data source.
Okay. Yep.
So like when you run Gatsby develop or Gatsby build, there's this life cycle of methods that get called. So if you've ever like worked with React, you know about the component did mount, component will mount, render, all of those things are part of that life cycle. Gatsby has a similar life cycle, but there's like 20 different things that happen along the build process, and you can kind of hook into these different life cycles. So what we're doing is you can go to Gatsby Node.js is typically where that is. I kind of added an ESM version. That way we can use imports and ES modules. And there's basically this create pages lifecycle method that allows us to basically create pages dynamically. And what this is basically doing is like, if we go back to our site and we click on like new arrivals, this is a page that was created like dynamically here. If we click on this sofa, this is a page that was created dynamically here. And all these pages are created based on your inventory and the categories of the inventory. So
that's awesome.
And we want to kind of basically say, we want to create a few different types of pages. So like, for instance, we have this path of all, and we don't really have that set up anywhere, but if we go to /all,
sure, index
we
page.
should be able to see, okay, yeah, we have a page here where we've created like this, but there's nothing there because like we're not using it.
Gotcha.
But what is more interesting is if we go down a little lower, well, let's go maybe, let's see here. Okay, here. So what we're doing over here is we're mapping over the categories, which are like new arrivals, sofas, living room, on sale, and chairs.
Yeah.
And we're calling create page based on the category. So that's how we create those categories. And the category, all of this data is coming from this one call to get inventory, which as of now is static, but we want to kind of replace that with a MongoDB call.
Gotcha. Yep.
So I guess
can I see that document right now,
is,
or is it like a JSON document somewhere, like a config?
Yeah,
file?
yeah.
I'd love to just see what that looks like.
So providers / inventory provider, and then this is importing the inventory that's hard coded right here.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, cool. Yep. All right. Yep. Okay, cool. Yeah, gotcha. So all lives right. It's just a JavaScript file in the project right now, but you can move that anywhere. Yeah, this is great. I love that.
It is. And then like this gives you an idea of like what the schema would look like. So if we create a product, we're expecting it to have an ID, an array of categories, a price, a name, an image URL, or an image location, a description, and current inventory.
That's great. I love this. This is so great. Yeah, I love how like everything's split up so well. I love how like it's easy to figure out. It's very functional too. I love that. I assume, is this written in React too? Cool.
Yeah, everything is just React and JavaScript. You know, you could probably use TypeScript if you wanted to, but I haven't gotten to the point where I use TypeScript in all my stuff yet.
I know, me too. I feel the same way. I haven't taken the plunge all the way here. Heard great things. Let's see. The chat. Does anyone have any questions in the chat for Nader about the project in general? Want to jump into anything?
Yeah, let's. Well, I mean, if anyone has any questions, I'll be happy to answer. But I think what we could do now is like this is the function that resolves the inventory. So what we typically would do, we would call like some API like fetch, like some URL.
Yep.
And we would set that to be some data that we await, and then we could then resolve the inventory here again. Using the data from like, maybe we can go ahead and set up Mongo here.
Love it.
So, and all we need to do is really create like maybe 4 or 5 items in the inventory. And like the thing that I'm thinking maybe is with the image, instead of like, we can just kind of maybe upload an image somewhere and have that URL, but everything else should be pretty straightforward here.
I love
that. Is that something we can do?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a great idea. So let's see. How do we want to do this? Do you want to? Should I guide you through it? Do you want to? I've been setting up a database here in the background here. I wonder if I can even get you access to it too, possibly.
Yeah, that would be cool either way. Or if you want me to, I can create one on my end.
Yeah, let's just do that. Let's do that. So it's here. Yeah, go to just mongodb.com/cloud. I think we just moved it, or cloud.mongodb.com. And then I don't know if you have an account yet, but
let's try. I probably do actually. I don't know.
I know. I always forget like where my accounts are littered around the universe.
Maybe I don't, but let's try again. Let me just refresh. Yeah, I guess I don't, maybe. So let me sign up.
Yeah, sign up should take just a quick sec here. It's pretty easy. It may take a sec. We'll have to provision a database, which takes a minute or two, but whatever. We'll figure it out.
Let me try one more time. Maybe I already have an account and it's not letting me because I already have one or something.
Not funny.
Let me say I forgot my password or something like that.
Yep. Yeah, I love that app. That's so cool, man. I feel personally inspired to like explore some more Jamstack stuff in my next project too. Yeah, I know Gatsby's been extremely popular for good reason.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I do have an account. It's sent it to me.
Let's see here. I'll move it to secret mode here. I don't know if you can. No one will see your screen here. Just in case, who knows? And okay, everyone will hear me, but they can't hear you right now. Great. All right, and you're back. Your boy back. Great.
We're back.
So click on Build a Cluster. And then do the create cluster, that free tier on or actually go back. You want to do we'll do the free tier, yeah, shared cluster. And then just keep everything default, do AWS, cluster 0. Great, yeah, hit create cluster. This part's the longest part. It's going to take like a minute or two for us to provision a cluster for you. And then once it goes, we should be good to go again.
So after we've created this, do we have like a URL that we can hit yet, or is that something we can get later?
We'll get it in a sec. So if you look on the left, once we get the cluster created, there's under services on the bottom there. We'll create a new Stitch app, and that's like our serverless thing that we'll put on top of it. And then from there, we'll get the URL. We can just copy paste it right in there.
So what I think I might do is go ahead and upload a few images to Imager to use them as my image source. That way we don't have to do that later.
Oh, that's a great idea. Yep.
So I'm going to go to streaming Jamstack eCommerce, and you'll see that in like, I think static, that we have all these images. So I'll just start with chair 1. And then what you can do is like just do that PNG, I think.
And we got a question from Pedro Vocred. He says, is storing image links from products in the virtual part of the model a good practice?
It's okay. What was the question?
So is storing image links in the model of like of our schema for an inventory? Is that good? Is that good practice?
I would say it depends. Like that's kind of what I do that's what I am doing for Jamstack CMS. But those image links are not accessible without the build cycle that actually happens. That is not accessible to the public. So basically, like we still make API call. We still take the secure image and then just download it locally, and no one actually sees that image. So like I would say it depends. I know that people use things like Cloudinary and they do it that way. So like I guess you could do it that way if you have like an API key or something, some way to make it secure. But like I typically tend to say, hey, like it's probably not good idea to have your bucket images open to the public.
Yep.
But people do it all the time, so it's kind of like up to you.
So it sounds like it's fine, especially because you're securing it in S3 bucket, so like you're the only one that has access to it anyways, so it doesn't really, you're exposing that URL, but it's still secure. Yeah.
Yeah, I think for like a demo like this is just an easy way for us to kind of have an image without having to build an image service.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
An imager is a pretty nice way to abuse the image hosting.
I know, I do that a lot too. And we get the new follows. I have no idea how to say their names, but thanks for following us. Thank you. And Adrian, thank you for following. Appreciate it.
All right, cool. So we have like 4 couches or 4 pieces of furniture. I think that's enough.
Perfect. Yeah. And hopefully the cluster is, yep. So we should be good to go. And then go down on services on the left, go to Stitch underneath the charts. Yep. And you're going to hit create a new application. And the only thing you have to do is give an application name. Just call it like Jamstack eCommerce. Yep. Perfect. And you should be good to go. Yep. Just hit create. Oh, no spaces. So do like a...
No spaces.
I think
maybe do like this.
Can you do a hyphen? Yeah. All right. Yep. That'll work. Yep. Classic. This one takes a lot less time, but there we go. Okay, cool. And it should take us to our Stitch panel here. Great. You can see at the top there, it talks about our GraphQL endpoint, which is amazing. Super excited.
Nice.
Okay, so we have to, first things first, by default, our cloud databases are secure by default, so you have to add authentication. So just do that, turn on authentication, anonymous authentication. That's
right here.
Yep, yeah, exactly. And then we'll have to initialize a MongoDB collection. Right now we have like a cluster, but there's nothing in it. So we'll have to make a database and a collection in it. So I don't know. I'm sure you're gonna
inventory or something.
love it. Yeah, and I don't know what the name of your store is. Yeah, inventory data. That's perfect. Yeah. And then hit collection.
I'll make furniture maybe or something here.
Love it. Oh yeah, that's probably good.
All right.
Okay, cool. And let's see here. And then now, so if you go to importing on a web page, it gives you a bunch of scripts here. I think we just need to get the that URL though to get access to it. So let's see here. Where is that on there? Let me see if I can follow it up on there as well. I think it might be a little bit lower.
Is it npm?
Yeah, if you want. Oh yeah, you have to install that to use that on a to get access.
Cool. Let me go ahead and install that.
Yeah, and I think on the very bottom there, you'll see like a npm snippet, so it imports all the Stitch stuff, and then
so this right here.
Yep, exactly. And I think it even includes your client ID in there, which is perfect.
Cool. So let me go ahead and go to my inventory provider, and I think what we can do is we can go ahead and paste this stuff here.
Love it.
And I don't need inventory anymore.
Love it. Yep. So we're pulling it from the cloud as opposed to using the local JS document.
Yeah, I'm going to leave it there because maybe like I'll have to log some stuff out before we end up making this work, just so it doesn't break.
Totally fair. I get that. Yeah, let's get it working before we start breaking everything. It's a good call.
Okay, cool. So this is where we'll have the docs right here. So I'll go ahead and copy this.
Yep.
And I guess what I'll do is do it in this.
The promise. Yep, love it. So when it calls, it just goes and makes that call for you. Love
it. We'll probably end up resolving right here. So let me go ahead and just, okay, it looks like it's already logging that out. Okay, cool.
I think that's it. We might have to do some things with security. Let's test it out first, and then we can test it out in a sec. Back to the database, because by default, actually, we will have to do this. Go back to cloud.mongodb.com. So by default, you have to whitelist all of the IP addresses needed to access the database. So I'm gonna have you scroll up to the top of the page, and we need to go back basically to Atlas. If you see under the MongoDB Stitch thing, yeah, back to Atlas. Yeah, perfect. Oh, in a new tab. Nader, have you done this before?
I always do this.
Keep it open. I love it. And then you go down to network access under security. It's like there you go, perfect. And then you have to add a whitelist and IP address. You can add your current IP address if you just click that button there too.
So localhost or?
It's gonna be because it's in the cloud. It needs to know like what computer is trying to access it locally.
Oh, okay, got it.
So it's got to be your IP address or computer. Yep. And yeah, you can set temporary, but we'll just do that for now. Yeah.
Either way.
Yep.
Oh, nice. Okay.
A couple seconds there. So I think.
So we have that set up.
Yep. I think that should be good.
All right, so let's try to run this build, and hopefully what we're going to see is just kind of like an empty collection because we haven't added anything, right?
Yes, exactly. So it should, yeah, exactly. We should not see any errors, and we should see an empty collection. We can manually add some stuff in there, but we should be. We'll just.
I wonder if I can just run this. Let's see here without running the whole build.
Yeah.
No, I probably need to just. Let me go ahead and just run Gatsby develop.
Did you do npm install for that Stitch service too?
Yes.
Okay, you did. Great.
Should be in there, yeah.
Great.
So this is gonna we're gonna be basically running the whole build just to kind of get to this one file because off the top of my head I can't think of how to run just this function.
If you don't know it, I'm at a loss too. So that sounds great to me.
Let's see.
Self. I didn't know your app was so existential. That self is not defined. I feel bad for it.
Looks like something going on with fetch.
And self sounds like a context issue. Like there's. Yeah.
I'm gonna delete the node modules and install those again.
I wrote a bash script just called npm nuke that does an
that's
npm
nice.
rm and an npm install. Yeah. That's my go-to move, baby. This doesn't work, blow it up. Yep, that should be good. Yeah. And it looks like that was in fetch too, so it looked like it was like a dependency was breaking, or like the fetch from. That's kind of weird.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see.
I'll figure it out.
Let's blow it up and then we'll panic.
This isn't my first rodeo.
Oh, okay,
I'm used to things breaking.
Yeah. Okay. Good. No, and Nader, that's what I love about streaming too. Is like I love having our audience see us troubleshoot stuff, which I think is great.
Oh man, like I had a stream with Kitsy, and he's kind of like a front end person that does a lot of stuff, and it was kind of a shit show because pretty much everything we did didn't work, and we just said screw it by the end of it, and we were just gonna start again next week. So yeah.
Okay, so
that was what happened with me today.
It's kind of fun seeing people lose it too. I love seeing people sweat a little bit. No, I'm sure it'll be fine. We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
If anyone's taking notes in the audience, just blow everything up and start again if you run into issues. Okay, maybe not everything, but at least your node modules. How long did the builds take for a Gatsby project? I don't.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it just depends on the number of pages and how much like stuff is going on, how many like large binaries and images, and
That's
not
true.
binaries, but how many like large objects like images and stuff are being, manipulated and stuff like that.
Makes sense.
If this is still an error, we'll probably have to debug it a little bit and do some searching.
That's fine.
I think that's further than we got last time. No, it's not. All right.
Self is not defined. So it's a node module. What? Yeah, I can help you Google too. I'll be your pairing buddy here on this one. I'll help you.
Maybe we need to install like fetch.
Yeah, but that's so weird because like fetch is native now for browsers. But it's building. That doesn't make sense.
Maybe because like we're using since we're using Gatsby. Oh, I think I might know. Like, let me see how to make fetch available or something.
Yeah, is fetch available in Node? I know it's available in most browsers now.
Maybe we need to install Node fetch. Because I know I've actually seen this error before. Whoops. Nope.
Let's see here. Aws stream. Does streamers or people viewing us, is fetch a part of Node? I could Google it.
I don't believe so.
I just want you. I want help. It looks like
I'm gonna try this.
Max found. Oh, Max sent this is fine with a house burning down dog. Max, it is fine. Nader and I aren't crying yet. It's fine. And I wonder, is it use Webpack to do the build? Does Gatsby use Webpack? Or does it use a different?
I think it uses it probably does use. I don't know. Maybe it does. I'm not 100% sure.
A black box build. Those are my favorite. Like they're great, but if you have any issues, it's always so hard to figure out what's going on with the build. Okay, let's keep Googling, huh?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I have a feeling because we're using maybe like a browser API we're using on the server.
Yeah, that's my gut intuition as well.
Looks like here's something.
But it's, I think it, well, maybe you need a different version. Okay, that's possible. Because it's failing on that thing. Okay. I wonder if you can just like, yeah. Isn't that fun when you have to figure out which version's breaking your entire build? That's fun.
This is answers from 2018, so maybe I'll just install that module at the newest version.
That's interesting. Good point. Well, it's yeah. I mean, it exists in the project. It just something doesn't work. And I'm curious too if it's a Gatsby problem or like a dependency problem. I don't know. I'll keep Googling too. When in doubt, Google it. That's right. We got a 98% sure Node does not have fetch in it. Yeah. I want to make a Mean Girls joke here that fetch is not going to happen. It already has happened, but we got to Google it. OD01 says just Google it. Yeah, great. We got to Google. Okay. And Nader, you haven't seen this issue before too with your project.
No.
Yeah. So, and you've probably been using the same Gatsby build this whole time. Other things we could try. We could try pulling out the MongoDB code we just added in. Just comment it out and see if that's the problem with the code snippet. Maybe there's a dependency, the Stitch app thing we pasted in there needed.
Let's see here. One thing.
Love it. I'll shut up.
No, after this, then I'm done trying things. So 3.0.0 looks like that. Gatsby no.
It's a Firebase thing.
This is all Firebase specific stuff, but I'm wondering if we're on along the same lines.
That's what I'm wondering too. Like, if you could, if you could just like comment out the Stitch stuff we added in. I'm wondering if it's I wonder if there's a dependency that stuff we pasted in, because that's the only new thing.
Is there like a Node API that we can use for Stitch, or is this mainly client specific stuff?
I've never run into this issue before either, but I'm assuming the Stitch service uses fetch in the back end, because it's assuming it can be on the front end. But I'm guessing that's where it's blowing up. But let's try it, see if it works. And if it does, let's give it a quick Goog and see if we can. And you may have, well, let's see here.
Yeah, it looks like once we comment that out, it seems to work. Okay,
so it's definitely a Stitch service is using fetch somewhere that like doesn't jive with the Gatsby build. I'm wondering, could we get I'm wondering if we could get like a polyfill or something for the build or something. Is that possible?
Yeah.
Because we just
let me Google like using fetch. Well, I've used fetch in Gatsby before, actually. Well, maybe I haven't. Let me just say.
Yeah, I think it's gonna work on the front end, but the build step, it's like obviously gonna die. Let's see. And I don't even know what WG or what WG fetch is. I don't even. Obviously, it's some sort of fetch project, but I don't know what it does specifically. And I found some Gatsby documentation on fetch polyfilling for build steps.
Yeah, if you have something that you think might help, or feel free to share it. I can give it a shot.
I'm trying to just quickly find if I can see anything useful in here. Someone says use yarn add isomorphic fetch. That worked for them with Gatsby.
Oh, okay. Nice. Let's try that.
Yeah, so just yarn add isomorphic dash fetch. I can post it in what's the best way to do it? Should I do it in the chat channel?
Yeah, that would be good.
Yeah, or I'll do it on the actually I just posted it on MongoDB or the Twitch stream chat. What's the best way to get that to you? I don't know.
And I guess like once it's available in our Node modules, we don't really have to like do anything else.
I think so. Because I'm guessing the build step's gonna it's just looking for that Node module to kind of do the work. We'll see. Let's cross our fingers on it.
You know, like I've run into similar issues with this with some of our Amplify SDKs because we are assuming that they're client SDKs, but a lot of people end up using them on the server, and we actually have issues with WebSockets and also this fetch polyfill issue as well. So
yep. I love fetch. It like makes my life so much easier. Dang it. Okay, let's see. I want to do let's keep reading here.
Yeah, we'll continue playing around.
Let's like time box it. I like to time box the stuff. If it doesn't work in like next 5 minutes, we'll just like axe it and that's fine.
Yeah.
I'm cool with that. You got a Kosi QQ says try isomorphic unfetch. I don't know if that's a joke or serious. I'm gonna Google it.
Let me go to isomorphic fetch docs and see if there's a way that we need to like import it or something.
Oh, interesting. Kosi QQ. Yeah, isomorphic unfetch. It switches between unfetch and node fetch for client and server. So it can use both, which is weird. I thought that's what isomorphic did. I don't know.
Let's just try to require the isomorphic fetch real quick.
Oh, good idea. So it's in the build. That's a good idea.
I mean,
so it's in there.
Just from basically using like, I'm just looking at these docs, but who knows if it's going to work.
Hey, that's how this works.
No, okay.
Let's try an isomorphic unfetch, and then I'm probably going to have no idea. If you look in the MongoDB or the Twitch chat, there's an isomorphic dash unfetch. I've never heard this before, and I have no idea if it's going to work, but...
Well, at least we found something that we can kind of like add some additional docs to kind of like when people do want to use this using like something like Next.js or whatever.
Well, I'm wondering, what databases have you used so far with your
So far, I've used GraphQL with I've used serverless functions, and I've used GraphQL with AppSync.
Gotcha.
And I've actually just created like a really basic fetch call using just the fetch or Axios APIs.
Totally makes sense.
Yeah.
And Kosi QQ says you should import that isomorphic unfetch into that file too. So same thing you were doing before too, but I think require should work too.
Let's see. Is there like Stitch? Let me just Google if there is if anyone's figured out a way to do Stitch.
Yeah, interesting. I didn't even do that. That's the problem. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Server fetch.
Ooh, okay.
Find something?
I found something. I don't know if they're actually using this in the build though. Let's look in the Gatsby node.
I have seen some stuff with in the Gatsby config stuff, like doing some formatting. I've never played around with that before, so I'm not an expert, but yeah, I've never run into that before. I'm trying to think too. Well, I don't know. The last app I did was a Create React app, and I didn't have any issues with the build step with it at all. But it sounds like
let's see here.
different builds.
Stitch Server SDK maybe.
Interesting. Okay. Interesting. So yeah. So if it tries to use it, yeah, that's interesting. That's interesting. Solve.
Core services remotes. Let's try this out. This looks like it possibly could work.
I think you have a promising I have to find some Stitch node fetch GitHub or Stack Overflow issues. Let me see if I can. Let me see. No one answered it. Maybe I can answer it later on today. Yeah, okay, so I'm reading more. Yeah, it looks like there is... We might need an isomorphic Stitch thing. That might be what we need. Because right, I think the Stitch thing we use is client-side only. Yeah, so I like your server-side idea. I'm wondering if the server-side code is going to work for the build and then break when we actually use it in the browser. Let me see if I can find an isomorphic version.
Do I need my API key?
You will, yes. If it's actually, yeah, if you scroll up a little bit, it's on line 14 for you. I think it's just your,
okay.
I think it's just your app ID.
Okay.
Oh, Mongo API key. Oh, I think that's fine. Yeah, I think it's your same thing.
Okay.
That's Akira. Love it. Let's see here. And is it doing a update one? Looks like it's doing an update one, which is kind of weird. We can't update one that we can't update something that doesn't exist yet. Furniture, yeah.
Whoa.
Okay. Oh, it doesn't upsert. Oh, okay, gotcha. That makes sense.
I'm probably breaking all kinds of shit right here.
Hey, that's great. I love breaking stuff. That's how you learn. That's how you learn, Nader. We're all learning with you.
I might just actually restart this one more time because I did break something. So let's go ahead. We already have the DB
I think,
reference.
Do we?
Maybe we can instead just pass this in.
Yeah. Those dang parentheses. Where do they start? Where do they end? There we go. Nice. Good.
I think that's right.
Yeah.
I have this here.
Yeah, that looks good to me.
And then we should say...
Yeah, get a Venable. Yeah, find and love it. Okay, yep. Love it, yep. Always gotta keep that catch. Yeah, love it.
And I'll just kind of comment that out for now.
Love it.
All right, so
to recap, this is our server-side Stitch SDK, so we're trying to just get the build working.
And we're gonna test it out now, and I'm wondering if, like, it's not even asking me for my API key, so
yeah, I don't know what that. Yeah.
So let's try to run this again.
Great. Nader, you're doing great. This is awesome stuff. I love this.
Let's see if we get. Oh, we got past it. Okay,
Woo-hoo!
Something happened.
Something else broke. That's
Please.
great. Let's see here. Do we like...
Okay, so...
Is like a parentheses sheet?
Let's...
What's it saying?
Credential is not defined.
Credential. Let's see here. Oh, is that related to our...
Let's see where credential is.
I think we need to do like that. I wonder... I wonder if we could use the same thing. Let's see, what package you're using again? Are you doing this? It's doing the MongoDB Stitch Serverless.
MongoDB Stitch Serverless SDK.
Okay, let me help with that. Great. Yeah, I love it. So I think we gotta get the auth. So we're doing anonymous auth, and I know with the client side one there was a. We just used that that client side auth, anonymous credential. Oh yeah, anonymous credential. I think that's all we need. Because we enable anonymous auth. And yep, and then just do initialize, and then we pass the app ID. Okay, good.
So what do I need to do?
It looks like, so if you go back, let's see, I got to make sure we're spelling that right. I'll go back to the browser. So yeah, require anonymous credential, and then you see that in the line below that says that's Stitch initialized default app, and then we're gonna pass that client ID, that weird ID that we had before.
So we do need to import anonymous credential.
Yes, we do need to do that. Yeah, because by default it's secure by default. We enable the anonymous auth, and then we just have to pass through our anonymous auth token to get access to it. Yeah, so I think you need that whole thing, and then the and then that API key should be good to go.
So where do we use anonymous credential?
Let's see here. Go.
Oh, okay. We can pass in new anonymous credential. Maybe.
I see. So instantiates a new instance of anonymous credential. Yep, gotcha.
There we go.
Yeah, that looks good. Okay.
Okay. Let's see if that works.
And great. So we're not using credential in the next line there, but we'll see.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we just have it.
I wonder if we're... I don't think we need to do anything with it. I think we're okay. We'll see.
Okay, it looks like we got past that other error. Let me see if we have another error.
I love seeing new issues. Authentication.
Yeah, we're getting past the old issues.
I always love seeing new issues. That's great. Okay.
At least it didn't break everything.
That is good. We're still seeing stuff. So it says anonymous. Anon is not. Is it not? Is unsupported? That's weird because we're looking at it in the docs. Okay, let's see here. User. I know I've said this like a million times though. We're like, let's just give it a sec. If you don't get it, that's okay. I'm not gonna panic. We won't panic.
Yeah. Oh, let's go back to the console.
Default app. Yep. Database access. Yeah, I think you should be okay. That's like, yeah, the users have access to your database. Network access is like which IP addresses can access it. Maybe
got it.
Advanced, maybe it might be another, but I think that is fine. One other option. Because in your Stitch service, we turned on anonymous auth. Yeah, go back to your the Stitch panel. I think you have that open in another tab on the top there.
I did, but I think I may. Or is this it right here?
That's it. No, that's it. Yeah, that's it. Perfect.
Okay.
And then.
Whoops. Okay, Stitch.
Okay. Still got it. And then perfect. Stay here. So let's see here. I'm wondering if can you go to like users? So data access and security on the left side there. I just want to double check. So it's on the top right underneath the app ID. GraphQL SDKs below that, and then users. Yeah. Okay, and let's see here. And then go to the right under providers. Can you click on that? Yeah, perfect. Okay, anonymous users to log in anonymously. That's what I was looking for. Looks like it's on. That should be okay.
Yeah, it does look like that's exactly what they're saying here. Yeah. Okay, let's check one more thing.
Yep, love it. That's very weird.
Might be something in our code.
Could be. Yeah, that's the next thing I was looking at too. I want to double check to make sure that we're using that provider correctly. So let's see. I have my documentation open here on my screen, and log.
I wonder if all this stuff is right. Maybe I should go. Let me go to the Mongo documentation where we're just looking at all that stuff. It does look
different.
Maybe.
Yeah, so it looks like it's a little bit different. Let's see here. I can send. I'm gonna send this in this chat here. Yeah. Okay, there we go. So that's what I found for. I just sent it in the Zoom chat.
Okay, cool. Let me pull that open.
Little code snippet. It looks a little bit different than what you have, so I think that's.
Oh, okay.
I think if we drop that in, it should be good.
Okay, perfect. Okay. So delete all of this?
I think, yeah, let's delete all that. And then, yep, perfect. Yep, love it. And then let's just try that first and just see if we can get a user. Then we'll try doing all the fancy CRUD operations. We should be good to go.
And the client ID is this right here?
Yes. Yep, that's a client ID. You got it. Perfect. I think that's good. And then I want to make sure, can you scroll up to the top one more time? Let's make sure that we're importing the right packages. Mongo SC server, Stitch. Yep, we're good. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, my code is starting to become a little ugly. I apologize.
Nader, that's fine. Mine does too whenever I'm like trying stuff out. I always like get it working, then I clean it up. Totally fine.
So let's run this build process, and I guess what we're hoping to see is console.log user.
That's right. Yep.
Okay, good, because this is actually an error on my part because the get inventory isn't there anymore.
Interesting. Okay, cool. It's not. Oh, it's not there. Maybe I missed something. Because aren't we still exporting it?
I don't resolve the inventory anymore.
Oh, gotcha. So it's not like I'm returning anything.
Yeah. Well, let me just do that here then.
Yep. Love it. Resolve user or whatever. Yeah. Perfect. Love it. Resolve thing.
And just in case, I'll just resolve it there as well.
Love it.
Just kind of close this out if possible. Ooh, it's not wanting to stop. There we go.
Nader, I have to say, I'm having some fun right now. This is fun. I haven't done like pair programming like this for a long time. This is great.
Well, this is cool. I mean, we're kind of doing it's still something going on. We're still kind of doing like a new use case, right? I mean,
yeah, absolutely.
I think there's probably something going on with the promise, the way that we've written this. So let's kind of maybe saying, basically this is the code that we're doing. We're saying .then. Maybe we should instead like do an await or something like that. .then. Well, it looks like it's async.
Yeah, in the documentation it says that shouldn't be initialized apt is synchronous. Yeah, weird because your resolve's in there. What's it saying?
Default app can only be used once. Stack eCommerce. Maybe I don't need to set it here.
Oh, yep, you got it. Yep. It's yep, you got it. Yeah. So
Stitch client even being used anywhere?
I don't think so. Not right now.
So do I need to just delete that?
Like get that first. Let's see, we've got a new person jumping in. CodeNoid, temporary ACC. Right now, what we're doing is we're building a e-commerce CMS, and we're adding MongoDB, like Stitch service, and we're just troubleshooting the build right now.
Yeah, we're kind of doing a Gatsby build on the back end, and that's kind of where we're at.
Let's see. Are we initializing it anywhere else in there, or no?
Let me move this code out of the way because it's kind of
see it all at once.
Yeah.
No, it's good.
Okay. So we can see everything. We're not really using that.
No, I think we're okay.
We can do that. I'm not using that.
Oh, I'm wondering if get inventory is getting called multiple times. I wonder if it's like initializing multiple apps. I'm wondering if you need to move.
Oh yeah.
I wonder if you need to move the initializer outside of that function. So like
that's probably
line
right.
11 up to like under line 8 or whatever. Oh yeah.
That's a really good point. That was a good catch. I don't think I would have caught that.
I don't know if I would have either. That was just just me talking. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, it is being called twice. So. Okay, we have a different error now, which is, I guess, good.
Back to anon issues not unsupported. Man, I don't know. I don't know. I think we should call it a day on that. That's weird. I have no idea what the hell that is. I don't know. I would like to keep trying it afterward, though.
Yeah, it would be cool to maybe write a blog post on how to kind of create or use Gatsby with this, because there is a huge community of people using stuff like Gatsby and Next, and they would probably find that interesting.
Oh, 100%.
And I would too.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. I think I need to too. And I'd love to share that with you too.
And it's probably something stupid that we're missing.
Oh,
you know?
Nader, it always is. It always is. Oh, you forgot a comma. Oh, okay, great. Yeah. No, that's totally fine. I think that's I'm gonna work on that today. I'll try to get that working too. I'll probably send a code snippet out on Twitter if anyone curious wants to see it too. But yeah, let's see here.
Well, let's talk about like what would happen at this point. Like once the data comes back.
Oh yeah.
Like basically, yeah. I mean, we pretty much are there. I mean, honestly, like if we can just get this call to work, all we would do we would probably we would get the collection from the database, and then we would just call resolve on that. And then that would be it. Everything would actually then build kind of from there, and we would be done with it. So we were really close. So like if you're wondering like how to continue, if you did try this out yourself,
yes,
that's kind of where you would be.
Love it. Yeah, so they'll just be pulling that data from the cloud and MongoDB database, and just would be populating that in there. Because before we had it just pulling from a JavaScript file, and now we're pulling from a database. You can be using any database anywhere, but we're using MongoDB today. And yeah. And it should just like work. It should work as is, right? So it should just be pull the data in, good to go, and then you can start plugging in CRUD operations into your app too to start updating that in the cloud, wherever that is.
Yep.
Okay, cool. That's awesome. Let's see here. Looks like you're working on some other stuff potentially.
Yeah, I'm just kind of playing around with stuff because I don't know what I'm doing.
You know what my problem is too? Is like I get stuck on a bug and I can't figure it out, and then I don't know how to stop working on the bug.
Oh man, yeah. What happens if it's like 5 o'clock at night and you hit a bug?
Yeah.
Do you stay at work?
I
do.
That's brutal. Let's see here. Oh, we got awesome. Otto, one of our developer advocates, just posted a link in the Twitch chat about. Oh, he wrote it. Duh. Building a modern blog with Gatsby MongoDB. Let's see here.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Otto, have you ever seen that Node issue? I guess we kind of solved that one, I guess. That anonymous issue. I'm just scanning his article real fast, seeing if we can get. He's using GraphQL. Awesome. He's using something called
he's using
Gatsby
GraphQL.
Source MongoDB.
Yeah, he's using like a plugin. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, cool. Interesting. That's good to know. Sounds like none of us have ever used Stitch with Gatsby before, but just using that straight up plugin. Is that the thing where it makes a kind of a back end for it? Is that what that does?
So this would be like, I mean, when you would use one of these Gatsby plugins, it's kind of abstracting away this boilerplate here that we're doing kind of, and you might just set instead all you would do would be set like your app client ID and some configuration, and then all this other stuff would maybe kind of be handled for you.
Love it. Oh, that's awesome.
But it would be interesting more like, I would say more so like, how do you call this from a Node app period, right? I mean, that's, even though like, I think your probably main use case right now is client side development, but
yep.
But it would be definitely cool to see just straight up calling it from a Node backend.
100%.
Or Gatsby, yeah.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, I've done both, but I have not done Gatsby and Stitch. Okay, that's awesome. Let's see here. Nader, I know you're a busy man. You got stuff to do today. Is there anything you want to tell us about or plug before we say goodbye?
Follow me on Twitter if you're interested in this sort of stuff. Who knows? Like, I'll probably play around with this a little more. I might even, collaborate again with you and do something hopefully
Yes,
with this.
I would
Maybe
love
we can
that.
kind of give it a second shot, even though we got pretty close.
I know, classic. I just posted Nader's Twitter account on the chat channel, so definitely give him a follow. He's awesome. He posts amazing, fun stuff all the time too. But you're interested in like serverless, like if you like this app and you want to learn more about it, definitely check that out too. Front end development, he's amazing for that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Let's see here, Nader. If they wanted to like catch you again, where's the next time you're going to be streaming or talking, or where can they catch you next?
Yeah, so I mean, I don't have a consistent stream schedule, but you can follow me on Twitch at twitch.tv/Dabit3. I have a YouTube channel, youtube.com/Nader Dabit. Or you can just Google my name and YouTube, and you'll probably see that. Follow me on Twitter would kind of be the best way. I do a lot of, I'm really focused lately on kind of short, concise tutorials, because I know that with all of the stuff, like there's a lot of content out there. I think a lot of the value can be had in kind of like getting the most bang for your buck. So kind of like one of the things I'm focusing on this year is kind of trying to create like these really short, like 1 to 5 minute tutorials that kind of show you how to do something in a short amount of time. So if you're like eating lunch or you're grabbing a cup of coffee or taking a little break, you want to learn something. So like follow me on Twitter. I'll be sharing that type of content.
I love that. Like just 2-minute video, show me how to fix this thing. Great.
Yeah, it's nice.
Yep, I love that. I think that's an awesome idea. And I love your respect for the developer community too, to like make content like that. Great, cool. Well, and everyone on the channel too, be sure to follow MongoDB on Twitch if you want to catch up with more. We stream every Friday at noon or Eastern time. Be sure to follow me on Twitter as well. I post a lot of this stuff too, and if you ever want to catch me again, we'll be doing this. We'll be doing some upcoming MongoDB like game streams with all of us kind of playing games on and talking about our work and being a software engineer. So if you want to check that out, those are going to be really fun. And other things too, MongoDB World, I don't know if you've heard, but we're now doing it remotely, and the date has been moved to, I gotta look it up. It got moved back a little bit so we could get some more prep time. But that's a totally free and open event, so if you've always wanted to go to World and you haven't been able to, you for sure need to go check it out. It'll be all virtual, posting that in the chat as well. Let's see here, any other MongoDB DevRels? Am I missing anything? I think if you want to post your Twitters on there too, that'd be great. Otherwise, I just want to say big thank you to Nader. You are amazing. I had so much fun. I legit had so much fun like coding with you today. This has been a blast for me.
Well, thank you for having me. Yeah, it was awesome to be here.
It's seriously all my pleasure. It's all my pleasure to have you here. You're so awesome. And I hope we get to work together again soon. I'd love to jam with you again.
Looking forward to it, dude, for sure.
Oh, thank you, man. And yeah, we'll be posting. I think we'll try to figure out how to get Gatsby MongoDB working. So you want to be sure to check that out. Follow our Twitters. But I think that's about it. Thank you so much for everyone joining us, and we'll see you next time.